What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me again for another video. We got a lot of stuff going on in this one. Again, as always, if you missed the last one, go ahead and check that one out. So where we left off is we have the rolled piece tacked to our new piece of sheet metal. And now what we have to do is go ahead and weld this all out. So we need to weld the back side and then flip it over and weld the front side of it. Then after that, we can just grind it all down and then move on to our edge pieces. Either replacing these or go ahead and building the other ones. I'm not sure yet. We'll tackle that when we get there. But we have a lot of welding to do, so we're going to jump into it. I'm finally done with all the grinding. So got it welded fully on the front and the back, and now just finished grinding all the welds down. And I think it turned out okay. I'm not super happy with it because we do have a lot of places that it's kind of raised. I think we got a lot of movement in the metal and flexion in it while we were welding, just from the heat and all that. So I think that's part of it. One, getting the movement. And I don't know, like, if the welds need to be ground down more or what. But it's not, you know, perfectly flat on all of it. So, and then here's the back. So you can kind of see how it's kind of poked out some. So, I mean, it feels like it's flat on this back side, but then it rolls over once we get to the old piece. So I'm not exactly sure, but we'll finish that off and get this transition nice and smooth once we get to the finishing touches of it. But for now, we have that done. So I think what I want to do next is go ahead and move on to the end caps, those pieces that go right here. Try and get those ready, and then once we get those finished out, then I can figure out how I want to patch these sections where I cut them out. But that's not a big deal at this point. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get moving on to getting the backs of these, because on both of these, I need to get the back piece pulled off. So getting that removed and getting these straightened out is what we're going to do now. I'm going to be starting on the front end cap first. And so what I'll do, this is the only piece remaining from the one side of it, because this was all separated. So we just had to get rid of this tack weld, probably just take the cutoff disc and try to run behind it and cut that off and then grind it smooth. Now on this side, it still has multiple spot welds in it all the way up. So you can see that it's kind of separated in between, like just after the holes. So probably what I'll give a shot is like right on the separations. I'll just take the cutoff wheel and run it down really fine and try to just cut through this top layer at each position, and then take a screwdriver or something to try to pry and bend it up in between here, and then cut off and grind down to get it flat. I don't really think there's much other way. I kind of did this when I was, something like this, when I was refinishing the toolbox that was found in here. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that one out. The toolbox turns out really good. So I did that. It was actually to cut off the hinge, so I just cut in between the spot welds. So I'll do the same kind of thing here. There we go. Pretty simple right there. Now let's take it to these other sides. I got both of these back panels off nicely. So I did the same exact thing on this one as I did with the first one. I just did this one off camera so you can see these cuts. I just cut it down the middle because this piece was whole. Cut it down the middle and then cut it across in between each of the spot welds. And then basically just took pliers, bent up this metal, and then twisted it off. So it's looking great. Now what I need to do is take, and this right here is the best piece that I have because it is still whole. Because all of our other ones are like this and are rusted off at the bottom. This one is still whole, and I'm really happy that it is because I can just take and get these flanges bent back to 90 degrees. get these on both sides and get this fixed up. And it should be perfect to make the templates off of for the other ones. So gonna need to get this one straight, and then the other three, this one and the two on the other side, will basically be needed to be replaced from at least halfway down. So that's why this is good to have whole. So first off, let's get this one straightened out, get these flanges back to 90, and then we can move on. These pieces are now pretty flat, about as flat as I can get them or want them right now. So I think this will work. We'll have to work on this side because this piece right here is sticking out. So I'll have to get that cut off to make our final leveling on this. But now moving on to making our replacement pieces, our patch panels for these. We're just gonna need a few tools. Should be pretty simple. We'll just need a hammer, whether it is a body hammer or not. You just need a hammer. I made this little T-dolly right here. We'll use this. We'll use this to roll these edges to make that little bit of a roll. So this is just, all I have right here is a 3/4 inch round, and then 4 pieces of 1 inch by 1/8 that I welded together and ground down. So this will fit right into the vise right there, and show you what we're going to do when we get there. Of course, with everything I do, an angle grinder, then just a Sharpie and a scribe, and then our tape measure. So we'll just go get our sheet metal and then we'll get started. Got the piece cut out here. So what we're looking at is actually, we have this fit up in here, and because I have this main piece was longer than original, you do have, you know, a gap here at the bottom. So what I'm actually going to do is going to go ahead and extend this one and make this long enough to reach like the bottom of that section. So we'll replace about this much of it, probably right up above this crack, I guess, just depending on where the bottom of it lies. So I'll go ahead and do that for all of them, make them longer. And, you know, we can go back later, and if it doesn't fit right or doesn't look right, we can always take and, you know, come up and cut off the bottom of this, because if we do trim it up, we're going to have to trim up the bottom of the entire thing anyways. So it's not going to be a big deal to, you know, go ahead and cut this off as we do it. So we're just going to go ahead and make these longer than they should be to match the bottom of that bedside. So what we already have, already marked out a line here, and that's going to be our flange. So I'll just set it off the edge of this, get it clamped down, and go ahead and bend our 90. our piece is bent, and you can take a look right here and see that it fits in really nicely. So now what we're going to do, and what will be easier on this one over the other ones, is that you can see the shape of this. So on the other ones, when we replace this piece, we're going to have to increase it in size, and then it levels off here at the bottom. So what'll be nice about this piece in particular is, since we're replacing basically from here down, we'll just be able to leave this all, you know, it'll be one solid bend, because we will have to roll the edge rather than, you know, having it progress up. So now what we'll do is going to take this and then just going to take and basically sit it here and mark a line on the back of this of where it needs to be rolled. So, you know, just sit it here, mark a flat straight line, because it will be straight all the way across, and then mark that across here, and then we'll go to the T-dolly here that we made to roll it. So I got the line marked out on the back, and I just went and transferred it to this side because we need to roll it this way, so I'll be able to see about where it needs to be rolled at. So again, just made this little thing up, and we'll just put it right on here and just go at it. So now that I have this pretty close, so you can see, it looks fairly close. I can't really fine tune it anymore because this edge right here, when I set it on it, it goes down, you know, onto this material, so it props it up. It doesn't fit right. So I just took, and I'm going to trim my excess material off of that back edge, and then we'll keep going to get our tighter bend. I've got this one made up. Take a look at it, and it fits pretty good. So you can see that right there. It's a pretty good fit right here. Let me see if I can turn on the light here. So you can see that's a nice tight fit. Pretty much all the way down it. Have to work on this just a tiny bit. Got to get this rolled over just a little bit more. But it's pretty good for that. The name of the game on these, when you're making something like this, is just patience. You make it and you test fit it, and you adjust it and you test fit it, change a little bit more and test fit it. So it's just a lot of back and forth. But I mean, it's a lot of fine tuning, but you got to get it right. So I'm going to make that last adjustment on this side of it, curl that down just a tad bit more, and we should be good to go. And then I will do the exact same process to make this other side. So I'll go ahead and make this other side, and then I'll show you the final result. I won't bore you with making that again. Now I got this left side done, and I did go ahead and cut out the middle section. And when I cut out the left side, I did make it a little bit short. So as you can see, it's not wrapped fully like this one. So I did just bend this middle section a little bit and have it a little bit long on this side. So it should be good. What I'm going to do now is just take and weld together these two pieces, the middle section and the left section. That way, this will be one solid piece, and make sure that's fitting right before we take and cut off this seam to go ahead and finish the weld and complete the section. So I'm going to grab the welder, we'll get that done and filled in, and then we'll take a look at it. Those welds are done, and we have this piece together, and it is looking pretty good. Not too shabby. So now what I'm going to do is, because this piece is too long, I don't want to set it up against this because it hits on this roll. So what I'm going to do is, because this piece is the same width all the way down, I'm going to set this up here so it'll clear the roll. So I can still hold it, you know, up tight against it so it stays straight. Then I'm just going to take this other piece, set it on top of it, hold these together. And what I'm going to do is going to take, and first I'm going to just kind of take the Sharpie and kind of color in that edge. And then I'm going to take a scribe after that's colored in and have this set on top of it. And I'll scribe right along the edge so I know exactly where that needs to be. And then we can take and we'll have our scribe line and just be able to see where we need to go. All right, so now we have it, and you can see that line a little bit better through the black. I didn't quite bring it out enough, but now we know we can take, and we want to cut just on the inside of this line. So just on the inside of it is where we want to get it cut off. So now I'm just going to go ahead and get it cut off. Got that little sliver cut off, and now just going to have it fit up the same way to weld it. So just got this clamp on here to hold it, and then I'll just hold this top piece together like so, and then get me a few spots down the run of it, and then we can weld it out. But it fits up really good, and I'm really liking how it's looking. And now that we have our tacks on it, we can go ahead and weld it out. All right, here we have our final piece. So I think it turned out all right. Not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. And you can kind of look at it right here and see how it matches up. I mean, this right here, if it was just a regular rolled corner and straight across, that'd be no problem. But with this, how it, you know, rolls and goes down and then across, that was a little bit more difficult. But I think I got it matched up pretty good. The best I can do anyways. But I'm happy with it. So I do have it laid out right here as it'll sit. And got a little bit extra on the bottom, but that's no problem. I think I'll just cut it off. And this is right above that split that I was talking about. And this is kind of just where it starts to go flat right here. So I'm thinking that this is where I'm going to splice this in. I think this is a good place to put it in. So I'll be cutting off about, I don't know, 3 inches of the old one. So I'm just going to, I think what I'm going to do is kind of leave this just like this. And then just take the angle grinder and come in at an angle here, like we did on the top, and cut this off right here as is. And I got this cut off, and unfortunately, I guess I forgot to hit the record button, so missed the cut. Right there's the piece. Could possibly be one of the worst cuts I've ever made, but I think we'll make it work. So what I'm first going to do is get this side tacked down and lined up. And then I will kind of have to squish this side in a little bit. Just because it's kind of flexed out some, so I just kind of have to squish it in a little bit to weld this side. But I want to go ahead and get this side tacked up first before I do that. And here is the finished piece. Take a look at that joint right there. Not too bad. Again, I am pleased with how it's turned out. And it could not be any more perfect on the end here. So I think it's just fantastic. The fit is great. I think it looks really good. I mean, if we just take a look down the end of this, I mean, I understand it's a little bit off, but for that kind of bend, I'm super happy with it. So basically, now what I have to do is make 3 more of these. So I have to do one for this other side for this piece. I have to do that one, and then the 2 others for the other bedside of the trailer. And those ones are basically gone from, I don't know, probably around here down is where I have to replace. So I have to make, and even on this other one too, I have to make a much bigger section, but it's just going to be the same exact process. So I'm not going to film doing those other ones just because it's going to be the same exact thing as this one right here. Absolutely no different. So what I'm going to pick back up on is once I get that one done, I am going to finish out this piece right here. So I'm going to take and bend and welding the patch piece right there, and then slide that piece in there, and then do the same to this other side, just to get this whole bedside finished off. That way we can move on. So I'm really happy with this right here, but I'll pick back up with you in a second. And we just got our 2 pieces finished, and I think they look great. I mean, just look at them. Perfect length. Had just a little bit of an issue getting this lined up nice, but I'll just take and smooth that out later with the little Bondo just to get a nice transition. And I'll do that like on the inside edges of both of these two, just to make it real nice and smooth. Just a little tiny bead just to fill it up, but it's great. I couldn't be happier. So now what we need to do is need to take and patch these end pieces right here where we cut these the columns off of. So just going to take and cut out a flat piece and just try to bend it as best I can to get the angle, and then we'll weld it on. Really shouldn't be too hard to do. It's just a matter of working it and fitting it, just like all these. I mean, just for a gauge of time, each one of these took me 6 hours to make. So I have a total of 12 hours of work into both of these. So it's just, you know, tedious, just back and forth, making sure everything fits right, but we'll go cut the piece and jump into this. So now we got our piece cut out, marked where we want the bend to start at, and clamped down. So should just be, I hope it's fairly easy just to get this bend. Just going to take probably about right. Make sure that middle stays down. Now we're going to come just take a look at it over here. Looks like so it looks like we could use just a little bit more angle on it. So now that I have the angle close, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it in here. And because I am overlapping the back of quite a bit, just going to set it in and then just get a mark on here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take and cut off above that mark there, just so I know that we have plenty of space. Then we'll come back in and fit it back up again. All right, so after quite a bit of back and forth, I think I got this fitting nicely. So what I'm going to do is just going to hold it up here in the top and get the top tacked in first, and then this bottom piece needs to be flexed up a little bit to get it right. So I'll do that and then get the bottom set. All right, that one's ugly, but it'll work. Now that I got them tacked in, I'll just go and full weld it. All right, so got this patch in and ground down, and it looks pretty good. It'll just take a little bit of finish work later, just on the back side to clean everything up and make it look like it's supposed to be there. So now what we need to do is put this piece in, and you'll notice that these are wider than the original. That's because this main piece, I ordered it to the length of the roll, and from the sheet metal place, it comes an 1/8 of an inch big, so we will need to take some of this off. But before I just go and cut it off, I want to get this piece in place first. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come off of this, measure in, and mark an 1/8 of an inch on both places so I can get this piece lined up. And then what I'll do afterwards is just come in and cut right next to this, because I'll come in and get this piece welded in, and then I can come cut alongside of it and grind it down so I can get a nice clean and smooth finish. And this will also give me a little extra material to weld to, so I'm not just welding straight to the edge of it. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, so now we just have this held back just to even everything up. Now I'm going to tack it down on both sides. All right, now you see we have a little bit of gap here. The metal's flexed some, so we just have to do a little bit of adjusting to this just to give us a nice, nice, smooth, clean surface. But basically now we just need to go and I'm going to weld out this edge, and then also I'm going to turn up the heat on the welder a little bit and throw in a few makeshift spot welds down it. And it's on. So went ahead and got this edge welded. So just welded kind of just along the way, not the whole thing on this side. It'll hold plenty fine, just less to weld and less to grind. So what I am going to do is take and just use some Bondo and smooth out these transition, as well as like this transition and stuff, just so it's nice and smooth and all flows well. Then got this edge trimmed up, welded down all the way along this, and just have to do a little bit more grinding right there. But it looks great. Looks really good on here. Really happy with it. So now I'm going to grind on that just a little bit, but what I'm going to do on this side is need to fill this in. So I'll do that, but I am not going to put this side on yet. I still have 2 more of those to make. The 2 for the other bedside, because the other bedside's rusted off about halfway down. So I'm going to keep that one off just to use as a template, just so I don't have to try to keep fitting it and having this whole piece laid out as I'm fitting and making the other ones, just so I can use that just on the bench, you know, as I was making this second one. It'd be a lot easier for me to do it that way, and then I'll put it on later. So just going to go ahead and get this piece patched in, and then we'll call it a day. Here we have it. So the fab work on this bedside is basically finished. This guy fits up there really nicely. And so once I get the other 2 pieces made, then I can go ahead and put that on. But I mean, look at that. That's just fantastic. Let's see if we can get a high shot. So it's basically all together. Super excited. That looks so awesome. I'm so happy with it. So happy with it. So, put in a ton of work into this bedside. For this video alone, probably upwards of 30 hours. Another 6 tonight. So, I mean, we have 18 tonight and on these 2 pieces right here. So, probably another 12 more on this bedside. But, I don't know. I'd say 22 is a solid number. 22 to 24 hours on this. So put in a lot of work. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And I mean, it looks great. So, I mean, it's not perfect, and I didn't expect it to be absolutely perfect, as you know, I'm just learning my way through all this stuff. But with a little bit of Bondo work, I think we'll get it to look really, 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 really nice. I couldn't be more excited with it. So still a lot more work to do going forward. So I'm just going to go make the other two side pieces off camera, not take up any of your time with that. So I can go ahead and get those banged out, and then I'll start on the other bedside doing the exact same thing, replacing this piece right here. So that'll be in the next one, working into that. It won't be as bad as this one though. It's crazy, I just went and grabbed a side to get started, grabbed this one, and it ended up that this was the most tore up bedside. So it's kind of how it goes. I guess I should have looked at it before I grabbed it, but it is what it is. Might as well jump in head first into the hardest part. So it's probably a long video. We'll see when I get it edited, but thanks for watching. Stick around for the next one. We're moving right along, getting so much closer and so much done. I'm really excited with all of that I'm learning and the progress that I made. So thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it, and I'll see you